Dave. He was wondering what a cork actually is and why it is the most common way of sealing bottles since the 18th century. So his friend Bernardo came over to explain the basics to him. Cork comes from the cork oak tree. It is domestic to Sardinia, the Italian mainland, south of Spain, north of Africa, but over 50% actually grows in Portugal. The cork oak is a wild-growing tree. One of the biggest advantages of cork oak is that it is not flammable, and therefore it is very important for the prevention of forest fires. Oak trees can live up to 300 years. The bark can only be extracted after 25 years of growth. Beyond this point, the tree can be stripped every 9 years. To give an idea, a 50-year-old cork oak tree can produce around 45 kilos of cork. When stripping a tree for the first time, quality tends to be quite low, but by the second harvest, quality naturally increases. After that, the bark is stored for 6 to 24 months in a well-ventilated place, and it is then cooked in warm water to disinfect it. Tannins are removed during this process. The cork is then stamped out of the oak bark. Highest qualities are found with the one-pieced cork. For the basic wines, most of the time we use shreds of cork barks, which are agglomerated together into one piece. The champagne cork, on the other hand, is formed completely different. They are always produced out of shreds and then into two slices of natural cork.
David was wondering, why do we use cork anyway? Why is it a good sealer for wine? His friend Bernardo is first going to talk about the advantages. Some of the biggest advantages to using natural cork include proven long-term aging, an environmentally friendly and renewable resource, and the preferred method of storing wine since its inception. A report by ReCork, the European network of cork-producing areas, insists that the elastic structure of the material and the fact that it is 90% air allows it to adapt perfectly to the bottle. In addition, it is practically impervious to liquids and is essentially slip-proof, which guarantees that the bottle stays perfectly sealed. Reed Cork explains, cork harvesting is a sustainable activity and its profitably is synonymous with the conservation of the cork oak. If there is no demand for cork, these forests lose their economic value and could end up abandoned. The cork oak has to be protected to maintain an ecosystem that helps mitigate global environmental problems like climate change, loss of biodiversity, or desertification, to name a few. The cork is part of a tradition of wine drinking. There is a certain magic to it. As an added value, it is priceless. The cork evokes Mediterranean culture, craftsmanship, and good taste. The ceremonial act of opening a bottle of wine loses meaning when the stopper is synthetic. It is no coincidence that the world's finest wines and champagnes are sealed with a cork.
David wanted to know the inconvenience of the cork. As the quality depends on the tree it is coming from and the way it is produced, these two cases in which we could wish for having are the ways of closing the bottle. Probably everyone already experienced poor cork that breaks, falls apart, or destroys the cork's molds. Furthermore, the oxidation is hard to predict with natural cork as every piece is unique. We use a seal over the cork to slow down the oxidation and protect the cork from molds, which ends in more expenses. But these are problems which can be fixed or dealt with. The most fatal things that can happen to a cork is called cork taint, caused by mold fungus, which creates TCA. TCA is an intermediate catabolic product which can occur when a specific mold fungus comes in contact with substances as, for example, chlorine or bromine, which are used while bleeding the cork. Unfortunately, one cannot see if a cork is tainted just by looking at it. The bad smell only occurs when the tainted cork comes in contact with the wine. The longer the cork stays in contact with the wine, the badder gets the taste. Restaurants and specialty retail often allow replacements of wines with such defaults. In supermarkets, on the other hand, it's really hard. The quote of actually tainted wine isn't really clear and varies with each producer and study in between 1 and 7%.
So what about other solutions? Asked David. What else is there on the market about natural cork? The competition is quite harsh. Apart from the screw cap we are focusing on, there will also be synthetic plugs, glass plugs, strap closure, even cork crown, which are mainly used for advertisements reasons. Screw caps are nowadays used all over Australia and New Zealand. Screw caps are the greatest competitor of the old, well-proven natural cork, and is the advancement of today that could be tradition in the future. Especially for wines that are meant to be drunk young, more and more producers change to screw caps. It is clear that there is a great emotional impact on the discussion as well. From a technical point of view, screw caps are nowadays probably the best way to close bottles, also from an ecologically point of view. The biggest disadvantage of screw caps is therefore their reputation to be made for basic wines, although good screw caps are actually as expensive as natural cork, and the loss of a great tradition, the uncorkment. Even the ritual of tasting the wine before drinking wouldn't be a necessary procedure anymore, as without cork there is no cork taint. For cork quality and the higher use of agglomerated cork, which are easily affected by cork taints, have a bad impact on the cork's reputation. A qualitatively high standard natural cork is still considered to be an excellent way of closing bottles.
So, comparing and contrasting the two, it seems like a time. Could it be that in the future we will see even more screw caps existing side by side with the traditional cork? Will aluminium screw caps soon seduce premium wines in Europe as well? Will cork lose out among mid-range and high-end wines, and sommeliers soon have to improve their unscrewing skills? The future will show it. Perhaps it is time for us to move on to the next level.